From West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
My name is Jason Jard, and the team that I have is Mountain State Spirit Seeker Society. What we do is we go around and investigate paranormal activity claims. We try to get down to the cause of the haunting.
I'm Billy Willard, and I am the founder of Sasquatch Watch of Virginia. Typically, we go out and visit sites where there's been previous sighting reports. We do get encounters called in to a hotline that we have, and we go out and we'll research those areas, looking for evidence such as, footprints, strange stick tree structures, and that kind of thing.
This is Outlook, a reflection of our place, our time, and our people.
How do people believe in ghosts? How do people believe in the Mothman? How do people believe in Sasquatch? It's very easy to take these experiences that you have and turn around and use those and interpret them, especially if you're open to that kind of belief system anyway. It tends to become more of an identity consideration, whether you would want to accept that explanation as true or not.
What is really creepy about this is everybody turn out your lights.
Can't see your hand in front of you.
Turn out your lights. Everybody, turn out your lights. It's dark. This is an area where you may find something.
What we're looking for is, different sounds. It's, that really shouldn't fit into the atmosphere, like we heard different noises tonight, we had the cell door slam shut. Well, those things aren't natural.
One experience I had happened right here at the top of these steps. We could see a light bar out here in the yard on that screen. It was moving around. It looked like it's about 4 inches in diameter, 3 or 4 feet long. And it moved back and forth and walked right in this grassy area here at the top of these steps. And we watched it on the screen for a while, and then we decided, well, let's go outside where it's at. It was raining really hard, so we would come outside, and you could see that with the naked eye. It was just moved back and forth across that grass, and then it come right over against this wall, and just went plunk, 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 right down these steps. Wow, we stood right there and watched it. Right here, it turned from that light bar into a gray, like a mass, not a mist or not a form, just a mass, a grayish, cloudish mass. And stayed here for 3 or 4 seconds, and then just moved inside the building.
Wow, we hope to experience something like that.
I was like sick of it.
Anybody here want to talk to us tonight? Some of the equipment that we use is our audio, our handheld audio, to try to capture any sort of EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, which is sounds that you can't hear with your ear at the time, but your recorder can pick it up. We do use some of our thermometers to detect certain temperature fluctuations in the atmosphere. We also use what is a K2 meter, which is an EMF meter, but we can also use that too to try to make contact with an entity to try to find out personal information and even its name about it.
Is anybody with them?
You're gonna laugh. Go ahead. It's a guy without a head. His head is in his hand.
Nice.
Okay.
Is that the guy that was hung and decapitated when he was hung?
I guess you'd call me the seeker, because they seek me out. I can close my eyes and actually picture them standing in front of me, besides what their little things that they let my head say and do. And a lot of times it's little pictures of things that are really silly, but when you stop and think about them, they'll add up and make sense. You know, it's just their way of communicating with us and letting us know whether they're okay or whether they want to tell us something.
They might be like prop stuff for the Halloween. Watch your head, whoever's tall. Like right here in 2006, I caught a solid black figure. It's on our website. It's standing up, and when you look at it, it looks like there was some sort of a door like blocking out its head. But you can see it's, I mean, full apparition with no problem. It's really easy to see. And you can clearly see there's no door or anything here. So it was just standing up right here without a door. And what I did was, it was me and a friend of mine, and it was about 5 o'clock that morning. We were walking through the North Hall. I was just turning around and just started snapping pictures. Just random, no, you know, nothing in particular. Got them developed, and that's what turned out. So we were pretty impressed about it. Once we leave here and we get all the data collected, we sort through it. It takes 2 or 3 days. We usually get roughly 20 to 30 hours of video, anywhere from 10 to 30 hours of audio. Once we get all that situated, we find the pieces of audio or the video that just don't fit, and then we all sit down and share and say, you know, was this you that did this, or you know, was this on the paranormal level? And then we go from there and combine all of it, and then we go back to the clients, sit down, show them, say, you know, this is what we found.
Okay, so you guys come back from the prison, and what do you do with all of the stuff you collected?
What we do is we take it back and we'll analyze it. We'll look through it real thoroughly. We'll pass it through the team members, you know, get everybody's opinion, you know, just see if it's somebody talking in the distance that we might have picked up, because our audio equipment is really sensitive, so we could pick up something real far away. So we just pass it through and let everybody listen to it, get their opinions, you know, and if we think it's legit material, we'll keep it. If we think it's not anything, we just, you know, we get rid of it, because we try to eliminate the knots.
Please tell me we don't have no coward convicts in here.
So what's he saying?
To us, it sounds like it's saying he don't want to go, or he doesn't want to go around that way, or he don't want to go around that way. It's hard. I mean, some of them don't come in.
Please tell me we don't have no coward convicts in here.
And what stands out was it's talking over him. It wouldn't be any of us, because we'd be listening to what he's saying. Mm-hmm. And it just, you know, it's just one of those things that just don't fit the environment either. I think I've found the answer, but I want to continue on, because, you know, I want to help people. That's what I've always wanted to do my whole life. I've helped people. I'd give the clothes off my back to anybody. I've always been somebody that's wanted to help somebody, make a change in somebody's life. And I think I found the answer, but I would never give up.
I've been asked whether I believe in God or not. And the response that I give to that is that you can't prove one way or the other. There's no evidence that will prove that God or ghosts or anything exists or prove that it doesn't exist. So, given the lack of evidence, you have to go to secondary considerations. Many people who are empirically based will say you go to Occam's razor. Occam's razor says that the simplest explanation has to be true. But that's only one possibility. There are other possibilities. One might be aesthetics. Do you want to live in a world that is populated by spirits and is alive, or do you want to live in a world that's dead?
It could be a small track right there.
Blocking the sun's view. Little bear.
Yeah, we've got a track right here. Not as big as the other one we saw over there. And again, it's old. You can tell it's been here since the rain. But that might actually be castable. Might be some toe impressions in there. Native Americans have been talking about the Sasquatch legends for a very long time, and I think they have actually a lot of information about this creature. It's just very hard to find any that will really discuss it, but I personally like to use the term Sasquatch.
I started studying Bigfoot when I was about 12 years old because I was afraid of it, and I've studied for the better part of my life. I'll be 40 in December. So I've studied it for most of my life. I got affiliated with a group, I believe a year ago. I had a sighting of an animal about 3, maybe 4 years ago. It was an upright bipedal.
It was a what?
Upright bipedal, hairy. It actually crossed in front of my vehicle, close to my house. I live in the southwestern portion of Virginia. So it's fairly mountainous like it is here, and lots of national forest and natural forage. I've been studying it for a long time. That was probably one of the most scary and exciting moments of my life.
As large as they claim this creature is, it's got to have some weight to it, and if it's walking around out here, it's going to leave a footprint. Okay, you ready? Here we go. It should push the water up. Yeah, it should be. I think we're back in there. And we'll let that sit.
I think one of the biggest arguments that people have about or against the existence of Bigfoot is that there hasn't really been any proof. And from a logical standpoint, absence of proof is not proof of absence. So just because we don't have the proof that these creatures exist doesn't mean that they don't exist.
Really, the only thing you can really do is just look around for evidence. Obviously, the best evidence obviously to find is footprints. We can't prove that the stick structures and tree formations are actually Sasquatch evidence, although it is interesting that we find that kind of evidence in a lot of the reported sighting areas. But we look for them anyway. You know, take some photographs and of course document everything. So that's what we do. I mean, we look around for stuff like that. It's nice to have a sighting area because then you know something's been sighted in the area and it gives you a place to start. When you get into a large amount of acres like this, you know, in a wilderness area like this, you know, it's like a needle in a haystack. You know, where do you start? It could be anywhere. That's right.
14 years of prison, dude. This is a cakewalk. At least it's not on me this time. That will stand up.
No, what I'll do is I'll make several contacts to see who. Typically, first thing they'll do is look at it under a microscope and see if it's something they can identify right away. I could accept that this thing is human, some type of whether it's a undiscovered Native American tribe of people. I can accept that this thing is some kind of North American ape that just simply hasn't been documented yet. Those are the two main theories. Now you have some more out there theories that these things are aliens and they came off of a UFO, that they go through dimensions and can walk through different portals, and you know, I think this thing's flesh and blood, whether it's human or more ape, and sometimes it makes things harder to believe if you make them just a little more, you know, too far out there. I like to start with the simple basics, the elementaries, and then work your way, maybe learn something more later.
I'm not willing to say that ghosts and UFOs and Sasquatch and the Mothman either do or don't exist. Remember, when you have one of these experiences, when you encounter this object in your stream of consciousness, it comes in with a default value of true. And you have to decide that it's not true. And so it's very easy for people to say, wow, I had this experience. I can't explain it fully, but it's such a powerful experience that it implies all of these other kinds of things may be true as well.
In November of '66, November 15th, 1966, here in Point Pleasant, you had two young couples who were driving on the outskirts of Point Pleasant near what they call the TNT area. They were up riding around late one evening and claimed to have seen what they called was a large bird-like figure that resembled like a bird with the shape of a man, two prominent red eyes.
Okay, when they first saw it, they were coming from that direction towards us, and he saw Mothman alongside of the road, and he walked over towards the North Power Plant. In some accounts, Linda Scarberry said that his wing was stuck on a fence or something, and he pulled it loose. Then he went over to where the power plant was, which was right on the other side of this fence, over in here. And Linda and the three other kids all got really frightened and raced out of the area, and the Mothman chased their car most of the way into town, and apparently at some point it landed and they could see it as they were driving by, and then took back off and followed them some more.
They were chased back into town by this bird or creature or whatever, and it's never been proven what it was or anything, but it did scare them pretty bad. So obviously they went to the law officials and the sheriff's department here in Mason County. They they kind of scoffed at that idea. But then within the next year and a half, you had probably another 100 reported sightings of the same thing. People from all walks of life, older people, younger people, law officials, things like that, who were seeing this thing in the TNT area, in and around the Point Pleasant area. So that's what sparked, the legend of the Mothman.
Kids came out here to party and stuff, so wherever people went, if Mothman was flying around wilderness areas, they're more likely to see them here. But I have a theory that the igloos are concrete domes that are covered with sod, and they have the general look of Adena Indian mounds, which were mounds built by Adena Indians 1,000 or 2,000 years ago. People don't know exactly how long ago they were made, but so you got the general appearance of an Adena Indian mound, and according to John Keel, UFOs were quite often seen near where the mounds are. These bunkers were built primarily to store TNT during World War II, and most of them are empty now, but some of them are stored gunpowder, some of them have dangerous chemicals in them.
When the reports of Mothman began coming in, people were thinking it was a large bird, but the witnesses who saw the creature said it was no large bird. They said it was like a large 7-foot creature with, they said it had the legs of a man, it had like a wingspan of about 10 feet, and had large glowing red eyes. And they said there was no way that what they saw was a bird. And there was a couple people who tried to explain away what the people had seen by saying what they saw was like a sandhill crane or possibly an owl, but the witnesses totally don't agree with what the skeptics are saying.
I can add to that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of theories on what Mothman was, and like my brother said, one of the theories was that it was just a large bird of some sort, and there's theories that it was like a large owl. There's also like some kind of corny theories, like it may have been an alien's pet or an alien that came off of a spaceship. And there's also the theory that it may have been some sort of animal that mutated from the chemicals in the TNT area. But I think some of the more plausible theories are that it's extra-dimensional, and they come in through windows into other dimensions, and they may exist where they come from as energy, or they may exist as an animal as they are seen here, and they just come through temporarily and then go back. Something along those lines. The Point Pleasant area and the TNT area are like super hot spots for paranormal activity even today, and people are still seeing UFOs in this area and other strange paranormal activity, and there's been no real legitimate sightings of Mothman where it was definitely Mothman, but people, he may return someday, and or some other very strange paranormal activity, and me and my brother are fascinated by the paranormal, and we like to experience it, more than anything. But if we can, we'd like to, report on it too.
Yeah, weird stuff does happen from time to time, but it's kind of like you have to be in the right place at the right time to witness this stuff.
Support for Outlook is provided by the following.
The National Science Foundation's West Virginia Experimental Program to stimulate competitive research, investing in West Virginia's future by building infrastructure for scientific research. On the web at wvresearch.org.
From West Virginia Public Broadcasting.